Apparently, the God King Jerome Pal just pumped all markets, including Bitcoin and altcoins, which are bouncing hard at the moment after Jerome Powell took a dovish stance at the FOMC meeting, but effectively did the same nothing that he always does, making it a nothing burger, in my opinion. But that gives us a perfect opportunity to look at a bunch of charts here. It's Trading Alpha, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. Myself and Wick, he's the professional trader who explains what's next for Bitcoin and what altcoins you should buy there in the title. We're going to take a look at a whole bunch of charts, talk about where we're at in this market cycle, whether the bottom is potentially in, whether this is just a bull market correction, and all the other things you want to hear. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Like I said, Jerome Powell, the most hated man by every Bitcoiner in the world, because Bitcoin has to become the global reserve currency, and the Fed, which I don't like, by the way, is the devil, and they're evil, and they're going to destroy the dollar. Well, they all love him today. Crazy how fast everyone changes opinion. Jerome Powell, the guy who literally let inflation run wild and continued to cut rates to zero. Nobody seems to remember that he's fixing a problem, probably poorly in the future, of his own doing. But hey, number goes up, which must be good. Wick, good afternoon. How are you? I thought we were going to have a depressing number down show, and then I remembered Mr. Powell was here today. Saved us.
Hey, good to be here, Scott. And as we know, markets can change in a whim. That's what they do.
Yeah, but you and I were kind of talking before and joking. The first reaction to these FOMC meetings is often the wrong one, right? Yeah, or any one of these big sort of events.
Yeah, no, I talk about that often to my following as well, right? You gotta give it time to absorb. It almost seems like it always has a reaction, or a lot of times it'll have a reaction and the next day it'll have a reaction to the reaction, and you give it kind of 48 hours to absorb and pick a direction most times, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm taking a look. I just happened to have popped up because I was not here when the meeting happened. I'm looking at SPX, but I did get an alert that was like S&P at new all-time high, right? Yeah, and I mean, this is on the daily, and then actually you had a squeeze shading right here on Trading Alpha, and then a signal for a long there, and just popped up and made a new all-time high.
Yeah, no, stay right there. So that's very interesting. You know, it's always so fascinating to me how technical analysis will rhyme at the exact time that there's a news event. So in this case on your chart, what happened was we ended up putting a squeeze shading right before the FOMC, which is crazy, right? And then all of a sudden it breaks out on FOMC day. So it's always amazing to me how TA rhymes with news, and a lot of times will signal a news event before it happens, right? It didn't know that FOMC was today.
Right. It didn't know FOMC was today. It didn't know what the guy would say, right? But you had green dots coming into it. No indication here on the daily that the S&P was going to go down or was in any threat. You get the squeeze and up it goes. Just going to give the soft pitch really quick, because people who watch this show should know we look at charts using Trading Alpha, which is the indicator suite that was invented, created by Mr. Wick himself. It took him so long to convince me to use these, and now it's my go-to for everything. And this is the place where you can get a 25% discount using them. The link is down below. You type in 25 off to get the discount, and that's it. So that's the soft pitch, so you'll know what the hell we're doing and what the hell we're looking at, or else you might be very confused when we start talking. But let's jump into your charts if you don't mind. So obviously, context here, we do have these moments of correlation, right? FOMC, everything pumps, right? I love to say that stocks and Bitcoin aren't correlated, but in moments like these, you know, people feel risk on and they go nuts. But once you got your charts up over there, I'll bring them up for you, and we can take a quick look at.
Let's start with this chart of Bitcoin. Okay, so I just want to put this into context. So what you're looking at here, guys, is the chart of the 2017 bull run. You see a lot of big accounts on Twitter always referring back to how amazing this was and how much profit they made, right? They're always referring back to 2017. So now let's look at 2017 a little bit closer and see what we had to endure to actually get those amazing profits, right? So first off, from this right here, from this top right here to this low, we had a 41% drawdown. I think the drawdown we just had that scared everyone was something like
15.5.
It's 15%.
Like 15.5. I posted the same chart, by the way, to Twitter yesterday with every correction drawn. It's insane. Yeah.
Oh, exactly, right? So, put that in context. 15%, we had to withstand a 40% drawdown, okay? And then what happened? The market rallies, we all get bullish again, and then we have another 40% drawdown, okay, before the really big shindig finale. So, guys, and then this actually looks like a big one as well. So this is what crypto is all about. When you have a 50 vol asset, you're going to have big drawdowns, and I must be honest with you, this cycle, we've been blessed. These drawdowns ever since ETF have been so shallow and they haven't lasted as long. So when you go back to Bitcoin right here and we see what's happening, we really got to put it in context. This is nothing. This is a correction. And I've been trying to yell it from the rooftops so much this past week that I really don't want people to get shaken out. There's two types of things. There's a swing trade, right? That you're trading medium term, and then your long-term trades. Your long-term trades should never be affected by the daily chart. That said, let's go ahead and review this daily chart and talk about swing setups, okay? So in the swing setup here, we did have, in fact, let me make sure I got the bottom signals on here. Yes, we got them. So we did have a basing pattern right here, okay? And I think I actually tweeted this, breakout of the basing pattern on green dots. This is your stage 2 uptrend. We then start basing sideways again with green dots. This is bullish consolidation. Whenever you see sideways patterns that keep green dots, it's a stage 3. From stage 3, we do a continuation stage 2 as we break out. We hold the green dots the whole time, and the green dots don't stop until right here, okay? And also, if you want to go ahead and put on some top signals, we can do that as well.
It nailed the top.
It nailed the top. And I talked about other videos about how tops are delineated and they're not confirmed unless one of the next two bars close below the wick of the topping signal. And whenever it doesn't close below, it's actually a bullish sign. So here you get a delineation and a leg higher. Here you get a delineation and a leg higher. And this one here does actually confirm with this second bar here closing below the wick. Okay. Now we know the dots ended right here as well. We have a confirmed topping signal. And then after that, we even end up breaking below the track line, okay? But when we were right here on Ethereum, I made a video, and this went for Bitcoin as well, is when you see this dynamic of just green dots stopping, right? Topping signals confirming, dropping below the track line. This is a big signal, at least on a medium-term trade, that you should take this, put it on the books, and call it profit. 100%, okay? So I made a video talking about that. It works for Bitcoin as well. So I just wanted to bring up this point to show you guys how you actually trade swing trades, okay, and how you exit them. They're not like investments. You don't have to hold them as long. A swing trade to me can last days, weeks, and maybe even months. We kind of stop at about 3 months. Okay, so this was a perfect swing trade. And yes, it was time to get out of this trade on Bitcoin. But as far as Bitcoin goes, right, if we go ahead and try and make a cleaner chart, take off those tops, and there was no tops on the weekly, but just to clean it up. And we look at the weekly chart, everything still looks beautiful, okay? Remember our plan on the weekly chart, guys? Just like the last cycle, you just ride the green dots once we go parabolic, and you don't exit your investment, not your swing trade, until they stop. And even with this large drawdown here, the dots were able to keep you in the move. So again, if you are an investor, switching to the weekly chart, getting the dots is really what you want to do. Now let's talk about what we're going to do from here. It's of my opinion that I would not be surprised if we enter a little temporary range, right, between this support here and this resistance. And we actually wicked right down to my support line, right? So a lot of confluence, and also wicked right to the resistance. So this is telling us right here that we might be in tune for a little bit of a range. And if you go back and you look at the last cycles, Scott, that's kind of what we do around the halving, right? In the halving, we kind of have this 300% run up, and we've had a lot more now this time. We've kind of front run. But afterwards, we do see some sideways basing patterns. So I'm really interested to see if that's what happens in this cycle. Do we still also get that sideways basing pattern? Why is my chart not forming correctly here? But That's kind of where we are, and we have the halving coming up, okay? So just to recap, on the investment section and on the investment time frame, don't take profit, guys. Green dots are still printing. You're still safe. If you are trading it, though, this is a time to exit your position and wait for another setup, because that's the truth, is if you're scalping or you're swing trading medium time frames, another setup will always come. So never feel scared to take profit if you're trading and not investing, okay? Moving on forward, let's look at Ethereum. Now, I made a video on Ethereum, okay? Same setup. In fact, we get double bottoms over here on our bottom signals. Green dots are confirmed. This is our actionable entry. We're above the track line, and the green dots did not stop the entire way. Do you see how this rhymes? Until right here. I mean, I can't cherry pick this stuff this often. I mean, this is how it works, okay? Dot stop right here. You should already be thinking, okay, warning signs. Let's go ahead and put some tops on and see if we got any signals there. I know we do, because I've been talking about it, right? So, okay, did I not put it on there? There you go.
Really quick, I want, as you're doing that, Neil asked a great question. If you do scalping, on what time frame does your indicator work best? And Shardy scalps the hell out of this indicators. But yeah, what's the answer there? I guess any time frame, really, right?
Any time frame. Look, it's going to work on any time frame. We have guys in our Discord that are literally using 5-minute charts. It drives me bananas, but somehow they are able to make it work. In my opinion, if I'm going to scalp, I'm going to go no lower than the 15-minute time frame, just because I don't like a lot of mess, right? The lower time frame you go, the less liquidity it takes from somebody just to kind of, mess up the chart, right? It doesn't take as much capital to move the market on a lower time frame. So for me, if I'm scalping, if I have to give you you guys my best answer, I'd go down to that 15-minute and no lower. In fact, when I find trade setups, let's say on the daily and weekly, and I want to enter a trade right now, what I'll do often is, this is the only time I'll switch to the 15-minute time frame and try and really gather a precision entry on the 15-minute, and then automatically switch back to the time frame which I made the trade on. So
makes perfect sense. Oh my God, somebody in the comments just said something about I don't know why this made me actually go look while you were talking. He said, Richard, I can't say this is true, but Richard Hart rubbed hex for Rolexes and Gucci clothes. Haha. I literally have not looked at a hex chart in so long, but it seems to have opted out of this entire market.
Look at that.
Holy
That's ugly.
Crap. Like what, nothing else. I'm not, guys, I'm not mocking your community. Don't come after me. I know nothing about it. I let your hexicans come on and pitch me. I'm cool, but holy crap, man. Not even like the slightest hint of a move up this entire bull market. That's wild. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. You had a nice cadence here. By the way, apparently everyone's worried today that Ethereum is a security, that the Ethereum Foundation is being investigated, and the funniest part is it bounced right when all that news came out.
Yeah, it is interesting how that works, right? And I do think a part of that, preface was a reason why we saw a little bit of a downturn here. But going on again, right? You get the double bottom signals. I won't drag this on too long. We went through a video. If you want to look how I confirm these tops, it is on my page here. None of these confirmed. Again, when they don't confirm, they become more bullish, and we finally get a bar that I thought was going to confirm because it wicked all the way down here, and I started to get a little bit concerned. Then we had no dots. I got more concerned, and then we got a red dot below the track line. At this point, I made a video on Twitter on my page, and I said, this is a beautiful time to exit this entry, because obviously the dynamic of the trend is changing. Why stick around? Exit and simply wait for another setup. And after that, you can see we made our next leg lower. Where it goes from here, I don't know, but I know that this is a bit of a downtrend with red dots. So I'm simply staying out until we have our next setup, right? And then it'll always come. So whether this bases and we get a squeeze breaking breakouts, or simply we get green dots afterwards, would be your setup above this pivot level over here. Okay, so that's your next two setups on Ethereum. But for now, as I said, since here, stay out of Ethereum, let it just absorb the news and find its fair price for now.
Perfect.
Moving on to ZRX. Okay, so this is another one that I thought was a really good chart. If you want to talk about setups, we did have our squeeze shading breakout green dot setup as usual. But right now, it's showing really good relative strength. It's still holding green dots on the daily, which, a lot of assets are not. So this shows good relative strength. I like that it's still above the track line. It hasn't even broken below it like Ethereum and Bitcoin kind of tested. So my opinion here is what I would probably do is I would probably just take the highs and tell myself a breakout of the highs is your first entry. And then possibly if it's weak enough, right? Maybe another entry if we get green dots on the breakout. That would be your second entry. So 2 possible entries coming up. And if I'm wrong, we don't get it, well, good. You just avoided that downtrend. Okay. So that's me on ZRX. I do think it's showing good strength and I want to watch it.
Crazy. These are like dinosaur coins.
Yeah. You remember them. This was from like back in what, 2018 or something, right?
Yeah. This is early cycle privacy coin. It was one of the first things that I used to trade when I first came in with Chris Inks, actually. So yeah, pretty
Oh,
wild.
wow. I never traded it, but I remember it very well. And we also see here, not to just jump around here, but we do see that once we got through our squeeze breakout, right, we did get a lot of confirmation on the alpha volume, okay? If you enlarge this, anything above that green line is pretty much extreme volume of confirmation. So we did get a lot of confirmation over here, even though our signal gave us the setup a lot earlier, okay? So I like this. You do see prices falling with volume falling, and that's okay. Prices can fall on high or low volume. That's a big thing that people don't realize that they always talk about. But I like ZRX, so keep watch on it. Moving on to the next one. This is also a chart that I thought showed good relative strength. I believe you charted this one this morning, Scott.
Yeah, we were talking about it because BlackRock, this went up. It's an RRWA platform, apparently. I looked it up when I saw that it was pumping, and apparently when the BlackRock news about starting to tokenize assets on Ethereum came out, this is one of those sort of adjacent legitimate platforms that pumped as a result. So this is
that makes
some
sense.
sort of tokenization platform. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And we're getting a lot of these themes, right? So you always watch out for the themes. We just went through the meme coin craze, and I don't think it'll be the last time. But when you can catch these themes, it's really where the bulk of the alpha is, right? Then you just watch the chart. Here we're basing in a sideways one basing pattern. We know this. We draw a little resistance here. We do get a breakout arrow, which leads and is the catalyst to break out into stage 2. You know what we do when we go into stage 2? We stay long as long as the green dots are printing, and I don't see them stopping until right here, okay? Again, the next bar drops below the track line. Automatically, you should think to yourself, this dynamic is changing. If I have a lot of profit on the books from catching the breakout arrow, maybe you set an alert and you got an alert, you got into this. This is a time to get out of it right over here, okay? After that, we're waiting for our next setup. Even if you miss a little bit of this price action here, I think the best thing to do here is to really wait for the breakout and it close above this line. So today, if we close above this line over here, I think that's an actionable entry, and you can see that's exactly what the asset is trying to do currently.
Yeah, I like that, man. Things are moving. I love that Bitcoin dominance is actually not pumping on this move. Just side, I'm always kind of looking at things over here on the side.
It's just ranging. It's just ranging
Yeah.
in a stage 3 basing pattern, waiting for that continuation stage 2 breakout.
Yeah,
it's lovely.
Yeah, I like it.
Moving on to sorry,
guys.
Scott.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Near. I thought Solana was next. I got excited because we always do it, but you do.
I can never have one of these. Listen, guys, that's my baby, and it's looking so good. So let me say that for a minute. Looking at Near here, this is one that a lot of people have been asking me about. It did have a really good setup, really easy setup. It seems like a lot of people caught this one at some point, whether it was the retest. But the 2 setups here, right? Squeeze shading, breakout arrow right near the bottom, stage 1 into stage 2. You got confirmed volume. It doesn't get any easier than this. You just simply hold the whole time. Here you have a retest of the track line, or retest of the support here, green dot action, and here's your actual parabolic stage 2 part 2 move, okay? So we're still in this. I like this, but what I want to see, guys, is this big, large candle here. A lot of times what I'll look for continuation is if the next candle closes above 50% of that candle, and I'll show you a little trick on how to gauge that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my, my magnet. I'm going to go ahead and get my fibs. And this is just a quick way I like to do it. Just right there, boom to boom. You get that 50% mark. I've drawn the line. And that's just giving you some tips on how to easily gauge what is 50%. But what I'm looking for in this daily close here is I want this to close above the 50% mark. And that'll give us a higher probability for continuation. If it does close below, then again, it gives us a higher probability of a little bit of a correction. Okay, so that's the setup I'm looking for on Near. I know a lot of you guys are in it. Let's wait and see how this daily bar closes. All right, we haven't got too long. Maybe, I'm sorry, this is a weekly bar. My bad. So we do have 4 days to go. So watch this and see if this closes above the 50% mark. If it does, I'm not in Near, but I think this would be a beautiful setup if it does. It still has green dots. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Now we do Solana.
Now we do Solana. Okay. Oh my goodness, guys. I don't know another coin that has relative strength with a track line is halfway below on the chart. I mean, look how far this thing is from the track line. A lot of times when we have corrections like this, you can judge and go through charts and see which ones are close to the track line. As you've seen, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum are breaking right through the track line. So when I look at Solana, and it's so far away from the track line, is it scary? Yes, but nothing has happened. These corrections have been so shallow. Here's the one that Scott bought right here on green dots, and we still have green dots. So there's no doubt in my mind that as soon as we you know, kind of gather our feet and kind of absorb all this bad news and get through this correction, we're going to see Solana a lot higher. I mean, literally this thing couldn't even go below 160. And I think for most of this correction, it's been in the 170 range, right above this resistance, okay, or now turn support. So this is another setup, guys. I'm not pumping this because it's my favorite bag, but it is my favorite bag for a reason. It's so strong. Okay, nothing looks vertical.
You have to be looking at it in this market. It's led. It was $8. It made $209. You know, the all-time high is only like 260. You have to be looking at it. It's become a new sort of bellwether for what's happening in altcoins.
And you know, I said this a week ago, Scott. I said the exact same thing. I said, if you're an institution and you're just trying to get into this market and look at all this, you're going to look at this chart, and at some point, this is going to have such good relative strength that it's going to be a risk not to own it. It's going to be a risk not to own it. So I really think that this is just the start, especially if this bull market continues. You know, I personally see Solana, and this is just a guess, educated guess, I see 500 being a good target. Some people are talking 1,000 like Jerome Pal, but I'm going to stick conservatively. I think that there's no issue in us reaching 500 as long as this market continues. And again, I think your next setup is going to be a break of my supply zone. So we close above this, guys, and I think that's the next time to gather another entry. Don't wait till the test of the track line, because the whole time it hasn't touched the track line once. This is the closest we got it, and Scott was the only one to nail this. So very good on Solana. No problems there. Very good relative strength.
I got that with trading alpha, but also with just this, right? I'd drawn this zone. I was talking about it. But the funny thing is I was looking to fill more like 76, 77, and I ended up buying more at like 94.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Like I caught this. So it was like 30 or 40% of my bid. Then I saw this candle and I bought more kind of at the top of this candle because it looked like such a reversal. I didn't think I was going to get these. And so I ended up, you know, paying. I could have bought everything at 80, but I bought the bulk of it, you know, just $91 to $94, and still not unhappy. That's 2x from there.
And Scott tries to tell us he's not a professional trader, catching that bottom there. That's cool, Scott. Moving on to the next one here, FET, okay, with the AI narrative. I like this. I like FET. I like the narrative. I like the backdrop drop. I like the volume that's in here. Even though we've fallen off, we're still above the extreme volume levels. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing a stage 2 breakout that's now become a stage 3 basing pattern. So what happens in this basing pattern? It's pretty simple. You know, you draw some lines here. You call this a basing pattern at stage 3. You break below it. We go into stage 4 downtrend. I don't see that happening. Maybe even if we wick down a little bit of a deviation. What I'm looking for is a breakout above the stage 3 into a continuation stage 2 uptrend, okay? And this might even come, now that we're consolidating, it might even come in the form of a squeeze shading happening here. So let's look out for that in the future. But nothing to do right here. Don't jump into your position. We are looking for a catalyst technically to get us above this resistance level. So that will be our next setup.
Yeah, Chris Inks was looking at that this morning and liked it as well. So there's a double confluence. At least it's on people's radars.
Yeah, shout out to Chris, man. I love Chris. All my Texas boys, you can't go wrong with them. Good people. Moving on here. It's true. Moving on here to Render. Okay, Render is beautiful, 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 beautiful. Everyone knows this is the next one I keep talking about the most behind Solana, okay? And Render is looking beautiful. Can you see the ones that I'm picking and I keep posting about, right? The relative strength. I mean, this is even... It might even be a little bit stronger than Solana. I can't tell. But look how far away this track line is, right? So relatively speaking, even through a correction, we're staying in this zone, in this little supply zone, okay? So what are we looking here for a setup? Well, what I'm looking for, again, right, it's very simple. The green dots are intact. We're in a parabolic stage 2 uptrend. If you're not in this uptrend already, you know, you should be riding the green dots ever since this pullback here. If you're not in it already, wait for this to break above this resistance so you don't catch yourself in a trade that might fall back before it goes up. Okay, in my opinion, as soon as it closes above this resistance zone at 13,122, that's a buy to me. That's a setup.
Yeah.
And then you simply just ride the green dots, right? You just hold long as there's green dots. So I hope you guys have learned some things today. Make sure that your investment trades are on the weekly time frame, and your your swing and scalp trades are on lower time frame. Swing trades daily, scalp trades, in my opinion, 15 minutes and under.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Now I'll give you the opportunity to tell them about Trading Alpha, which you have created, and why and how, and if they
No,
want to
absolutely. For
participate.
those of you that know me and that don't know me, I am a pure technical analyst. I've been trading now full time for almost 20 years. I think it's 18 or 19 years, mainly a derivatives trader of options. And I came up with these indicators specifically so I could catch setups better. After a lot of people asked me to release them, I have made them public, and you can catch this called the Alpha Bundle. If you want to buy it, we do sell yearly packages that have all of this in it. You can catch the link below in the comments. And again, I don't give a lot of discounts. I normally have this 25% discount 2 to 3 times a year max. One of them always being Black Friday. Scott has convinced me and shouldered some of this so that we can offer it to you now extended. So if you want it 25% off, I don't usually do this. I don't know how long it's going to last. Go and type 25 off as you're checking out, and it will drop the price substantially. Hope to see you around.
Love it. By the way, this guy Dreamweaver says I need a sip of water or even Gatorade to be hydrated for this pump. I have this huge ass bottle right here. Cheers, buddy. Cheers, buddy. I just got back from the gym. Feeling very hydrated at the moment. Guys, that's all we got for you. Listen, we made it right till 4 o'clock. Perfect. Nothing but Alpha. Of course, the Alpha show is tonight with Joe Vazana at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check out Trading Alpha and follow Mr. Wick _hedge_ on Twitter X. Thank you guys. Wick, have a good one, man. Thanks for the Alpha.
Hey, catch you next week, Scott. Thanks.
Bye, guys.